Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Brunswick, Maine. I'm David Q, and I'm the Board of Trustees Chair. Today is October 2nd, and our minister, the Reverend Karma Amos, will lead this morning's service, The Courage to Love, Blessing of the Animals, with music by Nell Britton. If you are new or visiting, you may not know that we do something called Charities with Soul, and this is a program that involves sharing 50% of the weekly collection plate with organizations in our community. The charities selected serve the most vulnerable members of our society, as well as all of the creatures in the web of life. This weekly practice embraces our offertory statement of weaving a tapestry of love and action. The Charity with Soul this month, October, is the Gathering Place, which gives daytime shelter, friendship, and hope to the materially poor or homeless. On a typical day, the Gathering Place warmly welcomes between 80 and 100 guests. Last Saturday, the Board of Trustees had a retreat, and at that retreat, we approved the recommendation of our reopening task force to make masks optional in the church. The task force has been monitoring COVID levels in our community, CDC recommendations, and UUA guidance for the past 2 years. And at the request of the board, they will continue to do so for the foreseeable future. This task force meets regularly and reports to the board very frequently. So I know that some of you will have differences of opinions about this, and that our reopening task force and board, we know that you will follow our mission to nurture one another as we navigate this change. So please respect each other's decisions and be willing to ask for or make reasonable accommodations for each other as we move forward. So when this change takes place next Sunday, on October 9th, our signage will change. And we'll ask people to please stay home or wear a mask if you have cold or flu symptoms. And otherwise, masking will be optional. We will return the sanctuary and meeting rooms to pre-COVID capacities, and the kitchen will reopen for coffee and food preparation, and we can have coffee hour again. So on the note of coffee hour needs to happen. Somebody needs to run that. So I'm looking for volunteers to coordinate coffee hour. If you're interested in doing that, talk to me after the service, and then we can start coffee hour again. I have another announcement here. After the service today, immediately following the service, there's an informal visitor and newcomers chat in the May Sarton room. This newcomers chat is held every first Sunday of the month, and it's an opportunity to learn more about the church. If you're a visitor or newcomer or anyone interested, please feel free to head to the May Sarton room after this service. And lastly, if you're here in the sanctuary and you have a cell phone or other device that makes noise, do something to it so it doesn't make noise, please. Thank you.
Good morning. We light this chalice in honor of the animal realm, furred and hoofed, two-legged, four-legged, many-legged, fancied and clawed, gentle and fierce, wild and tame. May this flame remind us that all animals are our relatives, worthy of our care and respect.
Welcome to our time of worship. We come here in search of something more, some deeper truths, some broader diversity of opinion and perspective, something real and full of hope that might renew our vision of an earth made fair and just, and that might renew our passion for creating that kind of world together. We come here for those reasons and more, and today in our worship, we will name and bless the animals, those earth creatures that add so much to our lives. Blessing the animals is one way that we can honor the seventh Unitarian Universalist principle, which is respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. In this world that centers and prioritizes human experience above all else, today we choose differently. Today we choose to lift up and honor and bless the animals, the dogs and cats and bunnies and toads, the guinea pigs and cockatiels and fish, the whales and puffins and lobsters, because I'm in Maine now, the eagles and the osprey and the nuthatch. In other words, all the life that enhances our lives, shows us beauty, makes us laugh, brings us comfort, and as we'll reflect today, teaches us more about cultivating the courage to love. May the delicate and beautiful balance of creation hold us together in mystery and in miracle as we worship together. And now, if you would rise in body or spirit as you are able, our opening hymn this morning is one that Tobin really wanted us to sing with the kids. It's called All Earth's Critters Have a Place in the Choir. You have permission to be a tad silly if you like. Please rise as you're able and sing.
I'm hoping there are some younger people here who'd be happy to come up and sit for the story with me. Come on up. Cleo, is it your birthday, Cleo? Happy birthday. Is there anybody else that wants to come join us? Our story today is called Strictly No Elephants. You guys heard this story? No? Let's see if the pages will turn. The trouble with having a tiny elephant for a pet is that you never quite fit in. No one else has an elephant. Every day I take my elephant for a walk. His is a very thoughtful sort of walk. He doesn't like the cracks in the sidewalks much. I always go back and help him over. That's what friends do, lift each other over the cracks. Today I'm walking my tiny elephant to number 17. It's Pet Club Day, and everyone will be there. Come along, there's a good boy. I coax him the last few feet. It'll be fine. When I look up, there's a sign on the door. Strictly no elephants. My tiny elephant leads me back to the sidewalk, never minding the cracks. That's what friends do, brave the scary things for you. Did you try to go to the pet club meeting too, the girl asks. Yes, I say, but they don't allow elephants. The sign didn't mention skunks, said the girl, but they don't want us to play with them either. They don't know any better, I tell her. He doesn't stink, the girl adds. No, he doesn't, I agree. What if we start our own club? Come along, I say, making certain that my tiny elephant follows me, because that's what friends do. Never leave anyone behind. We can play here, one of our new friends says. All of us. So we paint our own sign. Where it says strictly no strangers, no spoil sports, they crossed it out and it says all are welcome. My tiny elephant will give you directions if you need them. Because that's what friends do. So we're not singing kids out today because they're joining us for the service, but I have a challenge for you. Some of you might have clipboards already, and if you don't, I have clipboards and blank paper, and I'm wondering if you could draw a picture of your favorite kind of pet. It can be one you have or one you don't, and we might ask to see your pictures later. So here's a clipboard if you don't have one yet. Do you have one? Why don't you come pick which crayons you want? Solomon, do you need a clipboard? Okay, Cleo? Yeah. Sure. Do you guys need them? Well, I might have to go back and get you some more. You have a clipboard? Okay. Here, come. Solomon, maybe you can bring one to Lennox. He might draw one too. Here, does Ben need crayons? Okay. Here, let me give you some.
Good morning. I'm Irene Austin, Pastoral Care Associate. Before I share the joys and concerns with you, I was asked to make an announcement. If you happen to find out that you're missing your keys, they're on the back table at the welcome table, and Karen will help you find them. For joys today, from Nancy Meikle, I am so grateful my son David and daughter-in-law Carol are okay in Florida. They rode out the eye of Hurricane Ian in their home on Pine Island off the coast of Cape Coral. Their home suffered only minimum damage, but they are without power and are cut off from the mainland because of breaches to the bridge and causeway to the island on Matlacha. They have limited cell phone coverage. And Barbara Jabot, so glad you gave us this update on your granddaughter Gracie May Jabot. At 2.5 weeks, she is doing well in the Maine Med NICU. She's gained 5 ounces and is now 2 pounds, 4 ounces. She's breathing on her own with additional oxygen and receiving her mother's milk every 3 hours via tube. Peter or Julie visit each day and have opportunities to hold her in kangaroo care. We're all grateful that mother and baby are doing well and for the wonderful care by the NICU staff. This joy is anonymous. Wish I knew who it was. This person writes, my great-granddaughter celebrated her first birthday yesterday. Happy, happy birthday to Renaya. For concerns, the Waddle family wrote, by some power of grace, our parents' winter home in Fort Myers was spared significant damage. Our hearts ache for the devastation of the entire area around them. We anxiously await news of some of our favorite places on Sanibel and hope for the safety of all who live there. There's one additional thing written into the joys and concerns, but it's not really a joy or concern. I just want the person who wrote that to know I will bring that to the attention of the Pastoral Care Associates, and thank you. If you are watching from home and you have a joy or concern that you would like to share, you can send an email to us at uucbjoysandconcerns@gmail.com, and that's up on the screen. If you're here today and you have a concern that you would rather share more privately, please look for a pastoral care associate after the service. We have light blue ribbons on our name tags, and we would be happy to listen and help.
As we hold these joys and concerns of our community, let us hold one another in a time of meditation and connection as we pray. Spirit of life that gives us breath and animates all of creation, we gather in gratitude for life itself, for the love that gives life meaning, for the hope that lifts us from resignation and gives us purpose. We gather in compassion and solidarity with those in this community who have risked sharing things that bring them sorrow, as well as with those here and joining us online who carry weights that feel too heavy, as if to name them would be too much. We hold those also. For all who hold some worry or concern, we wish comfort and we offer community. We gather as well in celebration that as long as we have breath, there is also joy and delight and wonder. Today especially, we celebrate all the creatures with whom we share life and the blessings they offer us day in and day out in the changing of every season. Let us honor their gifts and their large capacity for loving, for life, for love, for opportunities every new day brings. Let us be grateful. It is a blessing to share life together. Amen.
Good morning. I'm Stephen Wood. Our reading today is a poem by Reverend Teresa Soto entitled, When Your Best Friend Has 4 or So Legs. What it means to have a pet is to love someone who speaks a language you do not. A dog will bow and prance. A cat will purr and blink. A guinea pig will giggle and squeak. A long time ago, a friend of mine had a dog with soft ears and considered herself the pup's guardian. A gentle way to think of protecting and caring for a friend, such a small gesture of respect for a source of boundless love. The dog's long pink tongue lolling in a goofy grin, the cat convinced that kneading and grooming are crucial to this day, a bird asking for a treat, bending a wing to wave. These are friends. They are loves. It's kind of a surprise that you should love someone so much who would eat the butter on the table if they could get away with it, and gets endless hair on the sofa when they aren't even supposed to be on the furniture. When they are called companion animals, it's such an open, tender truth. The endless cuddles and tricks and loyalty, the comfort of fingers to fur and big, adoring eyes. These are friends, they are loves. They stretch our hearts and fill them with their abundance of kindness. When they are gone, our hearts remain larger, though their absence leaves room for expanses of grief. Their love champions and companions us still.
Good morning. Can you believe it's the first Sunday in October? How beautiful is it? Are you not feeling it the way that I am? I mean, I've been talking to people. It's stunning to me outside, and I keep hearing this thing that's like, it's not going to be as pretty as it was last year. We had a drought. So I didn't plan to say this, but if you need some newcomer energy to remind you how stunning it is, come see me. And since I'm just off the cuff, let me thank Gary Wirtz for playing the drum with us today, and let you know that we have a special opportunity Wednesday night for an impromptu drumming circle. So if you would like to get more of Gary's healing energy and play with drums Wednesday night, 7 o'clock, come and join us. Now, for the real business. the theme that we're going to be talking about in the month of October is courage. And we're going to be talking about all kinds of courage. But today, since this converges with what is often the blessing of the animals service, I asked myself, what kind of courage do we learn from our pets? And it didn't take a very long time for me to come up with the answer, what do we learn? What kind of courage do we learn from our pets? We learn about the courage to love. We learn how important love is. We learn how rare it is that we're actually accepted unconditionally and loved unconditionally, even when we don't deserve it. And that kind of love requires a lot of courage, because love plunges us into the depths of life, which always brings with it the potential of suffering and the reality of loss. But I'm getting ahead of myself. As I mentioned, celebrating a blessing of the animal service has been an annual kind of thing for me almost every year. Now that's been true as a minister officiating at such services, but also, and perhaps more importantly, that's been true as a pet lover, lugging my own animals in to be blessed. It is the unfortunate plight of many a minister's pet to be brought into the church and used as a model for pet blessing services. Sometimes literally the guinea pig. And I am thinking with fondness this morning of many such creatures who have since gone on from my life. Now you'll notice that we do not have animals present in the sanctuary today. We have them instead in our minds and on our hearts. And at the end of our service, you'll be seeing a lovely video presentation that Shirley put together with some of the pets from our own community. But as we call our attention to our animal companions, and as we bring our intention of blessing to them, we honor one of the foundational spiritual principles of Unitarian Universalism. I already mentioned the seventh principle. We also honor the teachings of the earth as one of our sources of religious authority, where we seek spiritual wisdom. And that impulse is reflected as well in our mission statement that compels us to care for the earth right alongside nurturing one another and doing work for justice. This kind of animal blessing energy runs deep in Unitarian Universalism, which you may or may not have known. 2 of the rooms in this very building were named after some leading lights of Unitarian Universalism who were, among other things, animal lovers. They believed that animals had something of value to teach us about living, and they used some of their own life energies to promote animal welfare. I don't know if you knew that, but Wendell Berry, for whom the very last room is named, the very comfortable room with the sofas, Wendell Berry was, of course, a writer and an environmental activist and an animal lover. In one of his best-loved passages, it's included in our hymnals even, he writes compellingly about the roles that nature and animals in particular have in helping us find comfort and make sense of life. In The Peace of Wild Things, he wrote, "When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound in fear of what my life or my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things that do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. And for a time, I rest in the grace of the world, and I am free." Isn't that beautiful? It's a beautiful, beautiful passage, and it might not be our first thought because the Bible tends to get a bad rap, but it echoes some themes from the Bible as well. In the book of Job, for example, Job is suffering terribly. He knows about that despair that Wendell Berry was talking about. He was once a happy, healthy, wealthy man, and then through a series of misfortunes, everything that he loved about life went away, and he was brought to his knees. And when he wanted to make sense of it all, Job very wisely counsels himself. Ask the animals, and they will teach you. The birds of the sky will tell you. Speak to the earth and let it teach you. Or let the fish of the sea inform you. It is a real pity that scripture does not get more airplay. Things would be a lot different, maybe. But the point is that sometimes when life is overwhelming, we really need to make ourselves students in the classroom of creation, or worshipers, devotees, perhaps, in its cathedral. And animals are some of our best instructors, spiritual sages, and priests. I'll offer a personal example, not a flattering portrayal of me, but quite some time ago, I was serving a church in Northern Virginia, and it was a time of the year when things were very, very busy. I don't even remember what it was that made me feel so overwhelmed, but I was feeling properly sorry for myself. I'd been working all week, lots had gone wrong, it was late on Saturday night, and I had nothing to say on Sunday morning. My topic was something about cultivating inner peace, or some such thing. But I had sermon block of the worst kind. I spent hours typing and deleting and typing and deleting, and the clock was ticking. Sunday was coming. And in a moment when I was just so frustrated, I was near tears at not having anything to say, my cat Winston came to the rescue. Now, Winston was an old cat. He lived to be 22 years old. He is still the creature that I have lived with the longest in my life, longer than my parents and my siblings, longer than any partner so far. And Winston knew something about the power of silence, and his timing was impeccable. As I was staring anxiously at the blinking cursor, Winston sauntered up onto the table where I gave up long ago telling him not to go, and he sat near the computer, and he extended his paw and very, very carefully placed it right in the middle of my forehead, as if to say, meow. You probably need the English. As if to say, stop, you silly person. You cannot preach about peace from a place of chaos. Get over yourself. Breathe. Write something that you think might be true, and let that be enough. All of that, he said with a lingering touch of the paw. Winston was wise. A guru, I'm convinced. And I doubt that I learned all the lessons he tried to teach me, but ones like that stick with me. I just know that Wendell Berry would have gotten a kick out of Winston, and all of your little gurus as well. Now let's talk about May Sarton. The conference room that we have is named after May Sarton, who grew up Unitarian Universalist. Now, I've been a fan of May Sarton's work for quite some time. It is required reading for lesbians. But I cannot believe that I did not know about one of her most charming books until just a few days ago, when a text in another book sent me scurrying across the street to the library in search of her short novel called The Fur Person. Do some of you know it? Yes. I'm not sure, but it could be the case that she was the first to start that trend of calling pets fur babies? It could be. We UU people have influence we don't even know. But her book, The Fur Person, is her story of Tom Jones. Tom Jones, the cat. The cat who had the blessing of calling the two, quote, old maids in the story his housekeepers. And as the story goes, Tom is transformed from a cat about town, a stray cat in the beginning, to a gentleman cat, to simply a gentle cat and a cat of peace, before he emerges as a fur person, which, as Sarton describes it, is a cat for whom human beings love in the right way, allowing him to keep his dignity and his freedom, and a cat who in turn has come to love one, or in very exceptional cases, two human beings and decided to stay with them as long as he lives. The Fur Person was not Sarton's most celebrated work, certainly, but it is a delightful exploration of a relationship between animals and humans that makes life better for all of them and the world they share. And I rather love it that this animal-friendly lesson lingers even in the rooms of this place if we choose to look for it. Recognizing and honoring our interdependence with the earth and her creatures is a central value of our UU heritage, and it's one that I'm convinced enhances our lives in untold ways. I will admit some bias, of course. I don't think there was ever a time in my life when I was not surrounded by animals. I remember so many, I hope that you're remembering those in your own life, but I remember so many at my great-grandparents' home where our family would gather for all the big events. So many over the years, so many dogs, mostly German Shepherd rescues, so many cats, chickens, and a legendary duck named Dummy Duck, who once bit my great-grandfather in the seat of his pants and caused him to jump over a fence. It's one of our favorite stories. And then in my own home, that was true as well, always. A lot of animals, hamsters, snakes, puppies, kittens. And then there was my honest to God, not even joking, legitimate BFF growing up, my horse, Hobie. I would not be overstating it at all to say that there have been times in my life when the love of animals has saved me. And in the past few years, I've heard more and more people saying the same thing. How many COVID kittens and pandemic puppies are there right now who have literally saved people from isolation and loneliness and despair? Animals have given us, in the last few years in particular, they've given us a reason to get up in the morning. We have to feed them and clean their boxes and stalls and things like that. They remind us that despite it all, even when it's short, life marches on. They've made us laugh when we thought we'd forgotten how. They have reminded us not to take ourselves too seriously. And they have given us unconditional love at a time when we're beginning to remember again just how rare and precious that is. Now, I don't think the animals did anything more extraordinary during the pandemic. They just did what they always do. We noticed. We noticed with fresh eyes and hearts how much it matters, our connection with them. And not that we need to prove this scientifically, but studies have shown that animals can play a significant role in human health. Gary Kowalski, a UU minister who is known for his love of animals, summarizes some of this research in his book, Goodbye Friend, which someone loaned me this week. And he notes that the simple act of petting a cat or a dog or holding an animal in one's lap is shown to reduce the heart rate and to slow the heart rate and to reduce blood pressure. People with pets are said to be at lower risk of heart disease and to be likely to live a bit longer than those who don't have that kind of companionship. One study even showed that quietly sitting in front of an aquarium can have positive psychological effects, not unlike those that come from meditation. Like the compilers of the Bible, Kowalski knows that the animals have a lot to teach us. And in this beautiful passage I'm about to read, he offers wisdom I hope we'll all take to heart today. He reminds us every creature embodies a divine principle. And one of the reasons we treasure our pets is that they remind us of the miracle of life. But even when they're gone, the world remains awesome in its ability to teach and transform us. So, has life lost its melody? Take time to sit and listen to the music of a forest stream. Are you dejected? Pay attention to what the blue jay says to the mountain. If we are receptive, the beings who share our living planet can bring balm to our distress. They may not answer the question why, at least not in words, but as on eagle's wings, they can lift us above discouragement. They can, indeed. But there's another side of the story that we should quickly acknowledge today. The kind of love that we learn from animals would not require courage if it was risk-free and easy. It's not. And because pets also teach us about that inevitable part of life called death. Most of the time, they have shorter lifespans than we do. And if we dare love them, we will also grieve them when they die. The late German liberation theologian Dorothy Etzola warns that the sort of love animals teach us about comes with a price. She said, for context, that God wants to make us alive, and the wider we open our hearts to others, or the more audibly we cry out against the injustice which rules over us, the more difficult our life in the rich society of injustice will become. Even a small love of a few trees, or seals, or of school children who cry at night in torment is costly. Many cannot afford even a small love of creatures. And C.S. Lewis, who knew a lot about loss and love himself, agreed very much with her. He warned that to love at all is to be vulnerable. Love anything, he said, and your heart will certainly be wrung and possibly be broken. If you want to make sure of keeping it intact, you must give your heart to no one, not even to an animal, he said. Lewis seems to imply that loving an animal is kind of like a gateway drug that opens us to still deeper love, which always brings with it the reality of loss. But don't let that make you hesitate, C.S. Lewis would say. Love anyway. Be courageous, despite the risks, even when it hurts. Love anyway. One of the hidden truths of an animal blessing service is that we don't so much bless the animals as we note with extraordinary gratitude the blessing they already and always are for us. We can do that without them here, though I encourage you to go home and shower some love on your animals today. Every time we openly acknowledge the blessings that we continually receive from animals, including the love they courageously offer, we're all blessed. Today, I hope that we will be mindful of that blessing and may our courage and commitment to love be kindled by their example.
This is the time in our service where we collect our morning offering. All of our non-pledge cash from the offering is split with a charity with soul, and this month's charity is the Gathering Place. So please give as generously as you are able. Thank you. Please join in our congregational response. May these offerings sustain and grow the work of this church, weaving a tapestry of love and action. Thank you. And now please stand as you're able to do so and join in our closing hymn, number 203, All Creatures of the Earth and Sky.
Hallelujah.
You may be seated. And as you're being seated, if you were one of the young folks who drew a picture this morning of a favorite animal, would you bring your pictures up? I want to ask for your help as we send ourselves out with a blessing this morning. This. Great, testing. You got some pictures of favorite animals? Excellent. Let me have you all line up right here so they can see. Awesome. Can you see? And do you want to just name the animals and tell their names of your picture?
The first one's Albert, the second one is Muffin, and the third one is our cat, Kit Kit. Verster, Mike Stewart, and then I have my dad's here.
Awesome. Who do you have?
Cat.
What's the cat's name?
Taco.
Taco. Awesome.
I have Chunky, a kitten I fostered.
How about you?
I have a guinea pig. Boomy.
Listen, we're going to end today by doing a blessing of the animals, and so I'm going to read a blessing, but I wonder if you could help by holding your pictures up really high. And we'll maybe ask everyone else so that you don't feel silly on your own. Think of one of the pets from your life or one of the animals you see as you go home, and raise your hands up high as if to bless them. Keep them up, keep them up. All right, these blessing words are from Maureen Killeran, so let us join our hearts in the act of sending blessing energy. For the blessing of animal companions, we give thanks. For the beautiful ones whose fur is silky and whose tails are long, whose feathers are brilliant or whose voices are splendid, we give thanks. For the frantic ones, the runts and the hungry, who run for a food bowl or a pat as though this is life's last possible gift, we give thanks. For the obnoxious ones, the heads that butt against us as we're trying to sleep. See, they took the lesson to heart this morning. For bodies that refuse to learn discretion as they make digestive gifts, we give thanks. For those who bark and purr and mew and growl, for all who squeak and squawk or snarl and hiss, we give thanks. Are you tired yet? Don't give thanks to giving blessing. For the animals unknown to us, those whose niche in life's web is fragile, whose lives are insecure, for all who care for them and wish them well, we give thanks. And so blessed are the animals. Blessed are the creatures who live with us and need our care, including these. Blessed are the mammals and the reptiles and the birds who teach us we are not alone. Blessed are all living things from whom we learn to love, and blessed are we, go forth blessed to be a blessing for others. Thank you. Please greet your neighbors.